snow and starlight. Everyone looked up to see where the jingle-jangle noise was coming from, but there was nothing but falling snow and starlight. Then Princess Ricotta spotted something. "There!" she said, pointing, but nobody had a chance to get a good look at, well, whatever it was, because it flashed quickly across the light of the moon and disappeared over the rooftops of the Kingdom of Sweets. Somewhere further down Marshmallow Mountain, there was a clatter of hooves, which was accompanied by more jangling bells. "What on earth?" began Clara, but she was interrupted this time by the sound of running footsteps. Then suddenly, a very large someone appeared above the rooftops of the Kingdom of Sweets. It was Father Christmas! Exclaimed Clara and Fritz. "I forgot my lunchbox," puffed Father Christmas, out of breath from his sprint, "and I had to go all the way back to the North Pole for it. So I'm running dreadfully late to collect the rocket drops for the reindeers, and oh!" He stopped and squinted, and then squatted down in a palace square. "Clara and Fritz Strudel," he said, with a big twinkling smile. "What are you doing here? And so tiny, too." For the next few minutes, Clara and Fritz and their new friends told Father Christmas everything that had happened that night. It had been a very unusual Christmas Eve indeed. When they finished, Father Christmas laughed, a bowl full of jelly laugh. "Ho, ho, ho! So, if I'd been on time," he chuckled, "I'd have walked straight into a big trap." He twinkled at the Mouse King, who went bright red and stood opening and closing his mouth, startled. "Oh, Papa is very sorry about that," said Princess Ricotta. "Aren't you?" The Mouse King was so excited and amazed to be meeting Father Christmas that he just nodded. Father Christmas reached into the square and picked up a box of rocket drops. "Well, I'm very glad I didn't," he laughed. "Now, it looks like you are all having a bit of a party, but I'm afraid I must be going. I have the whole wide world to travel around, and much less time than usual." He paused and looked across Scrumptious Valley. "You know," he said, "it sounds like you've all been a great team tonight. Every year when I come to collect the rocket drops, I always wonder why you don't all work together a little bit more. You all stick to your own little places. Nut Cabin, Chocopolis, Tea Town, the Kingdom of Sweets, and you never mix together. Maybe after tonight you will." "Well, funny enough," said Queen Victoria Sponge, holding a nibbled piece of cheese in her hand, I was just thinking my bakers could make something lovely with this. Cheese scones, perhaps?" The Mouse King beamed at the idea. And I was thinking we could squish some peanuts up," said Humphrey Walnut, "to make a sort of peanut butter. And then we could put it in sandwiches with some of our jam," exclaimed Queen Victoria Sponge excitedly. And soon the whole square was chitter-chattering, and everyone thought up new ideas and exciting possibilities. "This is marvellous," said the Sugar Plum Fairy, watching it all. "And to think none of it would have been possible without you, Walter, and our new friends Clara and Fritz." "It's been an exciting evening, hasn't it, Fritz?" said Clara. But Fritz couldn't answer because he was yawning so widely his face nearly disappeared. "I think," said Father Christmas, "it's time you two were in bed. It is Christmas Eve after all, and although it's jolly nice to be chatting to you, I do have a job to do. Also, I can't deliver your presents if you're awake." As sorry as they were to be leaving Marshmallow Mountain, Clara and Fritz agreed to say goodbye to their new friends. Walter was coming with them, of course, but just as they went to leave, Clara had an idea. "Could the Mouse King come with us for the ride?" she asked Father Christmas. "I think he'd like that." "I'd be delighted," said Father Christmas. And so the excited and great Gorgonzola the Mouse King joined Clara, Fritz and Walter as they made their way to the magnificent sleigh for the final exciting journey of the night. Oh, the sleigh was really marvellous. It was painted bright red with flashes of gold that gleamed in the moonlight. Piled high in the back of it was the most enormous sack filled to bursting with beautifully wrapped presents. It was an incredible sight. Carefully, Father Christmas placed Clara, Fritz, Walter and the Mouse King onto a cushion on a big comfy seat at the front. Then he went to give a reindeer the rocket drop to each of them, who were snorting impatiently. "You know I'm running late," explained Father Christmas, "and they all want to get going." Just then the eager reindeer next to the hand tried to steal a pocket rocket drops. All right, he chuckled, and he gave each one of the creatures a sweet. They gobbled them up excitedly as Father Christmas ran back to the seat and hopped in. They're carrot-flavoured and very fast-acting, so hold tight. And as he said it, whoosh! Up in the sky at terrific speed went the reindeer, with the sleigh rattling behind them. Clara, Fritz, Walter and the Mouse King had to hold on tightly to stop themselves flying into the night. They soared over Scrumptious Valley, stopping briefly at Fort Fromage to collect all the other nice treats that the Mouse King had previously pilfered. And then they were off again. Over the snow-covered valley and over the deep dark woods. Each branch was now coated with frost, thanks to Anastasia Stroofwaffle and a magic snowflake wand. Beyond the woods, they passed over a landscape dotted with lakes of all sizes. Brenda would have done that, said Fritz, peeking over the side of the sleigh. Next, they soared over a range of enormous spiky mountains, beyond which was the world that Clara and Fritz were familiar with. Beneath the sleigh was a patchwork of fields and hills and rivers and towns. The reindeer were in high spirits after their rocket drops, and they couldn't help showing off. Over the city, one that Clara and Fritz recognised as their own, they swooped and they dived and they flew in circles over the sparkling builders. Anastasia's magic had reached there too, so everything was covered in a thick white blanket of snow. As they looked down at it all, Clara found herself thinking about the strange night that she and Fritz had had. It had really been magical. She laughed as she remembered how suspicious she'd been of the magic earlier at the party in the parlour. She'd been really sure that magic didn't exist, that it had just been trickery and, well, shenanigans.